Welcome to Grit and Grace, the place where grit shapes you, grace carries you, and friends walk beside you through it all. I'm Pam Rader, and along with my co-hosts Erin Payne and Brian Thiessen, we're here to laugh, cry, and tell the truth about what it means to be fully human. Think of us as your old friends. We share real stories, a little cowboy logic, and transformational tools. Because here's the thing, life's gonna kick your ass sometimes, but it'll also invite you to rise. And when you've got grit and grace and a few good friends, you will get through it all. So pull up a chair, grab your coffee, and buckle up. Welcome back to Grit and Grace. It's Pam Rader along with my good friend Erin Payne, and we have our special guest who rides in every so often, the cowboy himself, Brian Thiessen, to join us today. And we're going to talk about the patterns that are wrecking your life, the safety officers that occupy your brain, and how they're actually keeping you from getting the thing that you actually want.
Hey, everybody. So nice to be back here. Well, I'm just thinking about these patterns that keep showing up and protecting myself. And my pattern is that I don't want to see them. I don't want to know that they're there.
Okay, we're going to pull that apart.
Here we are.
Yeah. And Brian, I think this is going to be so cool because there's a lot of men that listen to our podcast that like hearing your voice. They like hearing the male perspective. And I think it's also good for the women to hear what's going on for men, that you're not necessarily just being stubborn or...
You know, something actually is going on? Is that what you're saying?
Something actually is going on. Yeah. And the power in the courage to face it, but then the vulnerability to share it.
Yeah. It's, well, we're so programmed to not talk anyway, right? So we think that we got it all under control, or, if you feel safe, we're good. So we don't really look for patterns, or we don't look for what underlying things are causing us not to excel or do the things we want to do. But yeah.
Yeah. So let's set this up for the listener. So maybe you've got a loop, let's call it a hell loop going on in your life where you keep looking for something, you desire something, and this could be a relationship, it could be financial abundance, it could be a breakthrough in your business, it could be like new kinds of connections or experiences, but yet you keep finding yourself back in the same spot over and over again. And I think everyone can relate to that in at least one area of their life. I know for me, there was a lot around financial abundance at times in my life, and I kept finding myself just on the cusp of breaking through and then pulled back. There were patterns of how I showed up in relationships that would get me so far and then pull me back. And I would always look at my external circumstances as the reason why I couldn't break through. The economy, the yoga industry is hard. There's no really good men out there anymore, and you just have to do the best you can. And I had it that the external world was the reason for these patterns continuing in my life. But when I got real with myself and was willing to look at what my patterns were, what's the driving force behind the things that I do, I realized that me not being successful is actually a way of keeping myself safe. I realized that me not being completely open and vulnerable in relationships was a way of keeping myself safe. Me dominating and controlling was a way of keeping myself safe. Me becoming the boss of my businesses is a way of keeping myself safe. And these are patterns that safety officer Darlene, I named her, safety officer Darlene came up with to make sure that I didn't suffer. Only thing is, Darlene's a pain in the ass because she also prevents me from getting what I want in life. And so today we're going to talk, the three of us, about what were some places that we've been stuck, what were the patterns that we faced, and how seeing the pattern clearly is the first step. And honestly, oftentimes the only step you need, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. But how it can set you free if you're brave enough to stop blaming everything around you and to take total ownership that everything in your reality is a projection of something within you. So, Erin, what's a place that you were continually stuck in your life, and what did you blame, and what was the pattern?
Well, I immediately go right to relationships, and I know we're going to talk about that a lot today. For me, the pattern was, well, I'm fearful avoidant or disorganized avoidant. I was disorganized avoidant, so I would have anxious spikes and I would have avoidant spikes. And so the patterns were, I would just leave, I would cling, and then I would just leave. I must have been a real
You'd be
treat.
seeking something, right? First, like, let's go right back to the epicenter. You wanted a healthy, good relationship, yeah?
Yeah.
And then we
For sure.
have what happens when we want something, we create dopamine. Dopamine is the chemical of wanting. So we desire it and we get excited about finding it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you
Yes.
get into a new relationship, and what would happen?
Well, yeah, for sure. And I would ignore red flags. And then I would get anxious spikes when they wouldn't do what I wanted them to do. But then when they did what I wanted them to do, I would leave. Like, I'm talking, when I look back at it now, it's some effed up shit.
Dude, you're fucked
Really.
up. Yeah. Like,
You don't even know the
Well, I'm not.
amount of work I have done.
yeah,
So,
but this
and
is the
withholding
thing. Once you
vulnerability-
face the pattern, the work can be done.
Yes. Without a doubt, I've
The
seen
other
it.
thing is we're quite clever at hiding it, because we use that feeling of safe. I don't even know if safety's but comfortable. Like, we get too high. But what I found with myself is the low then is too drastic. So I found myself, instead of getting really high up, I just stay here in the middle, because then the drop wasn't so hard to handle. So what I found
Manageable.
is I would never strive and never really overachieve, because the drop was too drastic. So I couldn't handle that. So I would just bring everything into, and that's this safety zone where you will endless loop.
Yeah, the safety zone. So it's this, we develop stories. Well, this just isn't for me, or it's going to be something else that gets me. Like, it'll be a different kind of business, or when the time is right, I'll know it's right. But it's just a way that
Person, that right microdot, that the right girl will just be I'll just know. But then you want that, you want that high, and you feel that rush and you feel that high. But then I found myself, I would just find people that were very, very broken. So that was my out. I always had something, well, I'll fix them, or I'll be, we can talk and we will develop this bond. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, then that was all the out. And then it was, oh, that's just not the right one, because I have this microdot in my head. Like, oh, the right one will pull me out of that. And there's no, and I was convinced that there's nope. It's just something wrong with, it's just not quite right.
your happiness and the feeling that you're looking for will come when the right person's in front of you. So
right.
the external environment.
Old Dave, safety Dave there, he makes sure that no, we don't like to get up. We get too high up here and then the drop. So we'll just keep you here. And
one of the classic things with avoidance, and Erin could maybe confirm this, is that they can do either a very emotional bond or a very sexual bond, but they don't do both. They like, when it gets like, well, then now more is going to be required of me to be in an emotional bond. It's all sexual and raw at the beginning. And then it's like, oh, and now they want me emotionally. Nope, can't do that. Or you get the emotional bond and then it's like they friend zone people. That's what kind of happens because it's too risky. And that usually comes from a pattern in our past of having trusted and been hurt. And I don't like,
because that's just too much risk.
Yeah. And so it's, well, if I have it that it's something out there, then I can keep chasing it. And it becomes sort of a phantom that keeps us in the loop. But I think that for our listeners to understand, when we have trauma, specifically around avoidant attachment. I'm not an expert in it, but I know a fair bit about it. With avoidant attachment, it's usually formed when a child feels like their parents have dismissed their emotions on a regular basis. And that could be anywhere in the spectrum of just a parent saying, you're fine, which seems harmless enough, to a parent being like, this isn't the freaking time for this. You're always too much, or you don't get to have what you want because something else is more important. But when your emotions are chronically shut down, you tend to be avoidant. And when that happens with a parental figure, like a mother figure, you oxytocin bond with your mother. You're supposed to oxytocin bond with your mother. It's the person that's supposed to keep you safe. But then your body learns oxytocin is dangerous. When I get the feeling of feeling really connected and safe with someone, and then the person who's supposed to keep me the most safe in the world, like burns me, if there's a barb, there's a stab, and I get hurt, it's not safe to feel that. So we start sort of shutting down that connection, the neural pathways that create oxytocin bonding. But then we still want to feel good. So then guess what we do? We rely on dopamine. Dopamine is hunting. Let's hunt for the thing. Dopamine is the chemical of wanting. Let's go hunt for the thing that I want. And it's the fun of the hunt that's replacing the oxytocin. But the problem is it's a carrot on a stick dangling in front of your face that you never catch. It's like chasing your shadow. You're never going to get it. So you get addicted to these dopamine runs, and that's the micro dot of the girl or the next relationship or the next business move or whatever that is, that it's going to be something out there. But until we face like, oh shit, this is what I do. What am I avoiding? I'm avoiding being hurt through really deeply connecting in all the ways with someone. Now, how did you discover that? Brian, how did you discover that? Like, what did you witness in yourself? Like, did you had a moment feeling like really safe and connected and then watched yourself? I think that's what you said, something like that to me.
Well, yeah. And I was convinced. I was like, like I was told I was an avoidant, and I'm like, okay. I see the patterns a bit, but I'm like, no, I was convinced that no, I'm not. I'm being very stringent here, and I'm finding out about these people. And then I realized it was that feeling really high and open, and then it was the drop, and I felt it, and I was like, oh, and that's what it was. Then I realized that's what was happening. I would get this high connection feeling, and then it was the fear of that big drop. So then I would find something. I would be like, oh, well, this is the reason this person isn't right. And then I would just end up pulling back because that's safe. That rush or that high is too much for my system to. And Dave shows up and he'll just give you all the right reasons why. No, we don't go over here. This is where bad things happen. We'll just come back over here. This is good.
Does Dave wear a lifeguard uniform and have a plastic whistle?
Yeah, good. No. We've done that over there, silly. We don't go over there. That's bad things happen here.
But when you saw that, did it change, like completely change how you saw your patterns and how you see the world? Because it was coming from within you instead of out there?
Yeah, well, then it was like, the peace has to come here, like within, because nobody can possibly. It's like looking for outside validation to make you love yourself. Like, it's like no one can. You just have to, and it's hard once you've seen it, then you can't unsee it. It's sort of like unringing a bell. It's impossible. But it's like now you have to find it within yourself or become peaceful with yourself versus having someone else is going to be able to fix this. And then I think now, after seeing that, I'm actually able to move forward and be like, okay, this is uncomfortable. But, and in that, if it's uncomfortable, it's probably right. You're down the right track. Because
that's the real big one right there. Is most people think if it's uncomfortable, that must be wrong. It's not the right person, not the right thing, but actually when you're healing these attachment wounds and when you're healing any kind of old patterns, you have to realize it's going to feel uncomfortable to do anything different out of the big groove you've made. You get a big record groove in your brain and your nervous system that's worked to keep you safe, but it also keeps you from getting what you want.
Yeah, well, that was always my indicator as to, okay, that's wrong. Go get, like, that's bad. Go. Oh, and of course, Dave would give me all the information I needed to support my discomfort and like, yep, you're right. We're out of here. And I studied with Bob Proctor years ago, and it always stuck with me when he said, if the masses are going this direction, he said, they're 95% of the time, the mass population is wrong. He said, you can't go the other way fast enough. So, and that was sort of when I was like, oh, it's uncomfortable, don't do it. It was like, that's what everyone does. So I thought to myself, well, maybe I should just wade into the discomfort and see what happens. It's uncomfortable. That's all. But I feel like there's like,
but we don't die from discomfort, right?
No, and I actually feel like it's a bit of an answer. Like I actually feel like, okay, this isn't back onto the same loop. It's actually breaking free from it. And if nothing else, it might turn into something. It's at least different. So like Einstein said, right? Do the same thing over and expect different results is insanity. So maybe we should try something different. So that's, because as you know, Erin, that's right. That same loop, once you've seen it, you're like, oh shit. We camouflage it with different little things and we think, oh, I tried this, and we didn't really. He or she might have had a different hair.
Justified, rationalized, and defended, making them responsible for your discomfort.
Yeah. Or that just isn't the right person. It's just not right. Yeah. But, I'm out here doing this with intention and I'm figuring it out. But all you're doing is protecting yourself over and over. And
I love that you just said that, because every pattern that we have is to protect, preserve, or prevent. And if we're willing to see that, it doesn't matter if it's a pattern of scarcity or a pattern of with relationships, avoidance or otherwise. It's always to protect, preserve, or prevent. So like, Erin, what do you think you were protecting yourself from with your anxious and then avoidant pattern that you had?
The first thing that comes to my mind is like a deep committed relationship. And I do believe that that's true. But what feels more real for me is I was protecting myself against having to be vulnerable with someone. Because that, to me, that's the antidote. And I have so when I feel anxious, that's not the antidote. But when I feel avoidant, the antidote is titrating vulnerability. What's one vulnerable thing I can do right now so that I understand that I'm safe and I don't have to leave? So for me, it's protecting me from having to be vulnerable, show my emotions. Like you said, I go to war with myself when I have emotions. And ultimately, it's that a committed, loving relationship, because it really hit me when you said, oh my God, what did you say just now? Of course, I forget avoidance. But when you said when we have a loving connection, so it's either loving connection or sex. It's not both. And I'm like, oh, well, I don't even know if I ever had a loving connection. It's always just been sex and there's nothing else there. But you said when we have a loving connection, we just leave because it's scary. And that is what I was afraid of.
Yeah. It's too much of an emotional risk. And Brian described it as the fall. Like you get to the height of what oxytocin bonding is. And then the fall is too painful. So it's better to stay in that medium range and searching. It feels like I'm doing something, but we're just on a hamster wheel. So we're actually saying that we think we're protecting ourselves, but we're actually protecting ourselves from getting the very thing that we seek.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I'd like to make a distinction here, if that's all right.
Yeah,
so
please.
I'd like to talk about familiarity versus safety. So safety Dave comes in and says, oh, I don't want to have a relationship with this person because the fall is too deep. So that's definitely safe. But for me, when I'm feeling my nervous system responses, and you guys just talked about it, when I get uncomfortable, that's like the pathway, right? I can see now that that's the pathway I want to go because it's uncomfortable to love someone. But I like calling it familiarity when I'm so uncomfortable. I just want to go back to what feels safe, but it's actually familiar. And I like that distinction because I just had a date. Yay. And I felt safe. And I was like, oh, this is safety. And to me, it's a different feeling. And so I just wanted to like maybe add to the conversation that's like, okay, it's familiar because I'm now starting to feel what real safety is in another
We will
human
pick
being.
familiar over peace all day long.
Yes.
Do you feel with that though? Do you think it was the person or was it you that made you feel safe?
Yeah, that's a great question. I definitely know I've healed a lot and I've done a lot of work, and there is a mirror effect. And I was like, I like who I feel with this man. And I was talking to 2 other men and I'm getting pulled into performing with these 2. Like what should I say? How should I say it? Let them text me first. All this bullshit. And with the one, I was like, I feel like I can be myself with him. And I was like, that feels safe to me. So I was like, I didn't like who I was with these other 2, and I liked who I am with him. So that's all I got. I don't know, but it felt safe.
Well, that's a great question.
What I found though is also when you look at it, because it comes within, you've always been safe.
Yes.
Right?
True.
We always seem to get through it.
Yes.
And so go ahead and take those bigger steps because deep down we know, like we always handle it. We've always come out the other side. So why would we stop ourselves from, other than the discomfort? But once you've seen the discomfort and you look back and you go, well, I survived that. Like we all 3 had horrific breakups or divorces or whatever it might be. And we came out the other side. It's making that decision. Like I'm okay. I will be okay. Once we know we're okay, then all of a sudden whether that's business or relationships, we know we're going to be okay. So go ahead, take the chance. Because we don't have to brace for it. We don't, most times these things happen to us. We never had warning. They just happen. It's another thing Bob Proctor said, never worry in advance. You'll have plenty of time to worry when it actually happens. So,
Well, worry is just, we've been talking a lot about David Bayer and his work that he does lately. And he talks about worry just being incorrect thinking. It's just poor quality thinking. It's an incorrect use of your mind. And so, when we think about it that way, when you catch yourself worrying, you can go like, oh, is that how I want to use my mind? But I want to dig into this safety thing because we have familiarity. You were talking about Erin. And so for Brian, the familiarity was when it's uncomfortable. I know what to do here. The familiar thing is to leave, even if it's going to cause a bit of chaos. I'm familiar with the chaos and I'm familiar with that drop from mediocrity to down here. And so you keep repeating the pattern. And then you choose to do something that's not familiar, which is stay in the discomfort, to witness yourself and stay in the discomfort. And then what can happen, though, is that when we feel safety, and I know this could be a thing, Erin, as you go into the safe thing, because when we're used to the familiarity of chaos and the familiarity of the dopamine hunting, and I like to call it dopamine hunting because it's like, it's the next thing. You get the Amazon package and you put it in the drawer and you just want another Amazon package. It's the same thing with relationships. It's the same thing with, we're dopamine hunting. And if you realize that when you stop that hunting, safety feels unfamiliar and it can feel boring as fuck for people. And then they go, this might not be the thing because it's not exciting.
Yeah, we don't have the sexual roar now.
There's no chemistry here. What am I supposed to do with that?
Yeah, right.
Boring ass dude in front of me.
Yeah.
Just the drop, right?
And so But here's the thing. When we make the unfamiliar familiar, I think is when we start to truly feel safe and we can appreciate and create that. We realize we can create that within ourselves, that sense of safety. And in that sense of safety, we can explore, because dopamine hunting, getting the thing, there's a hit, but it's like, I always think it's like a cheap drug. Like it's kind of shallow. Like you get the hit and it feels good for a minute, but then you need another hit really quick. It's like the crack cocaine of our own system. But oxytocin bonding, like really feeling safe with someone, allows you to explore, once you get familiar with that, depth. And I think that as human beings, that's what we all are really deep is craving, to be truly known and accepted and loved in a depth, and to keep going deeper and deeper. But instead we chase wider. We cast a wide net and stay shallow. And we do that even in business. I see everybody, well, I'm going to learn how to do this funnel for my business and then it'll be successful. Well, if I do this one marketing trick, or I'm going to go on a podcast, or and it's just the next thing. But there's never any consistency and depth and doing the mundane, boring effing work of showing up in the discomfort day after day and teaching your nervous system that it's safe.
Well,
So,
that's it. The sitting in it, right? It's the sitting in it. That's what I found. It's, the pullback, you don't see any of it. But when you just sit in it, you realize, I'm okay.
yeah.
Do
Do you find it gets shorter, like as you see it, like if a discomfort comes up and you see that fall, you call it, when you notice it as you've been practicing this, does it get shorter lived?
Absolutely. You see it coming like, caught you, Dave, you bastard.
Yeah. Erin, we should give your guy a name. Or your
Yeah.
gal.
Yeah. I mean, we should definitely figure that out.
I think it has to be a D name. Mine's Darlene.
Yeah.
Well, Darlene, take a seat.
Should I stick with a D? I mean, mine could be Diane or
Diane. Yeah, I think
something like
Diane is a
that.
good name. Frickin' Diane.
Yeah.
Sit down, Diane.
She comes out in full force. I'm happy to report, though, that I was attracted to that feeling.
Good.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I like this.
It's
this.
It's a rush, right? It's that hit.
Well, the safety part where I felt like I like who I am with this man. He feels safe to me. And I was like, oh, I'm so happy that I like this, instead of like, oh, fuck, who's this boring ass dude in front of me?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the real thing. That's how I've recognized safety in my current relationship, is that I feel I like who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I like who I get to be. And I'm like, oh, that feels, even if the relation, like even if what was on the outside wasn't showing me that, I just like had this sense of like, I can be more and more myself as we go, more and more myself. I feel like I'm getting more and more and more myself. And that's something that I had versions of myself in other relationships that I would have told you were me, but I see now clearly how I was performing and manipulating, dominating, and protecting. And now I'm just realizing, like, just being me is being enough. And I love who I get to be when I'm outside of my patterns, when I can see them clear and when I can own them vulnerably and say, hey, I just noticed this thing that I used to do or I do, and I don't ever want to do that to you. It's not received with like, oh God, it's received with gratitude. Like, thank you. And I see that. And I appreciate that you see that. When you tell on yourself, that's my whole point in this. When you tell on yourself with your people, you can't get away with your own shit anymore.
And when your vulnerability, like, to me, that's vulnerability. Like, this is what's happening for me right now. I'm scared. I'm about to do this. Like, I don't know. I'm about to leave because I'm scared of my reaction or something. And when it's met with loving hands, it's really quite amazing. And I think that that's part of how we can start to, that's not true. We start to find it in ourselves because we realize that that's where it comes from. And then we get the courage to speak our vulnerability. And and if it's met with loving hands, it's like this is what I want. This is
Yeah.
what I'm looking for.
I think that because the patterns that we had were so familiar, we didn't even know to want this.
Yeah. It's been quite the journey.
I think it's like a phobia. You don't even realize it's this irrational fear of like a spider. Like it's ridiculous. Why would you be afraid of a little spider? But we have it. And it's just the same. That's how I was. I was pretty convinced like, no, that's not me. I mean, like I could rationalize till the cows come home.
You actually thought that's the way the world was, and you had all and this is what I think. The more justifications we have, the more it's a smokescreen for ourselves.
I could show you in detail why what I was doing was absolutely justified and right, and this is what I'm looking for, this is what I need, and this isn't being met. And then pretty soon you step back and you look and go, oh, look just like the last one. Look just like shit.
Right. It's the results. The results show you.
Oh, we're having a bit of a pattern. And then I realized I was married or was with the same woman for 22 years. So there was a big gap. Yeah. But been out of the loop, I guess. I hadn't been doing the loop for that long. But I realized when I had to look back and go, well, wait a minute. So I was actually doing it in my 20s. But in my 20s, well, you're just young and you don't know and but it was the exact same thing. If I look back in my 20s, it was the same thing. Then I had this big 22-year lull, but it was just a safety.
Yeah, but let's just share with the listeners the 22-year lull, the safety thing. It's so interesting because when we chatted about this, you said, I was so careful. She was 9 years younger than me, and I made sure she knew what it was going to look like and that we were going to raise our kids a certain way. And she agreed, and we agreed. And like, this is what it would look like to get married and all of that. You were making sure, creating the safe container so you couldn't get hurt. So that was your way of trying to break the pattern, or the only way that you could access those two pieces of yourself when you set up what turned out to be a false sense of safety.
Yes, absolutely. But and that was my thing. And so when that crashed and came apart, well, then I was left reeling, like looking for there's got to be this magical person that will hold my attention and have my safety, which was the impossible loop.
Well, it's just like a lot of people in business get caught with like the next guru and the next coach and and they're so busy chasing the next good idea that they're not actually working on their business. I did that for years. I was just like working on myself, and like it was just another place to hide in plain sight. I'm like, look how busy I am, and I just paid all this money to this business coach, and look what I'm, and then I just get the next one. It's the same pattern that plays out.
It paralyzes us. It's whether it's business and it's failure or rejection in relationships or whatever it might be. That fear just stops us from, we'll just stick here. We'll be mediocre. We won't reach too high. And that's the real performers in life. The 1%ers, they're fearless. They've been broke before. They're just right back into it. They don't.
Well, I think that, I don't know if they're fearless. I think they just understand that failure is just part of it. Like they're like, oh, good. There's one under the belt because I'm going to have 3 more before I get to success.
Yeah. Fail fast.
Yeah.
Yeah. They don't make it mean something about them. And I think that's where the real fear is. It's what stops us is, if I can't find this, what does it mean about me? If I get rejected again, what does it mean about me? If I fail in business again, does it mean I'm not enough? And I think that's really the deep fear underneath all of it for all of us. Will it be confirmed, this idea that I have playing in my psyche that somehow I'm not enough?
And back to a previous podcast, when we were talking about being authentic, and that's like, how are you feeling right now, Erin? Like you feel safe because you're being you. And when you sell you, there's probably very few people that wouldn't accept you. Because when we accept ourselves, it's like, yeah, you're being authentic, and that's attractive. We get drawn to it. It's because really you're just selling a version of yourself if you're not. I don't think, and then we're never really confident.
Makes sense.
we don't want to, because we're worried and like, well, I haven't really shown them the real me. When we're authentic, and I mean, it's hard because we're all evolving and I think that authentic self keeps changing. But that's the thing. It's when you're authentic and it comes out, you're peaceful. I feel peaceful. I feel like I'm actually being me, and someone sees me for me, and vice versa. It's very attractive when you see something, because there's a peace about those people when they just own it.
Yes. That's so
Well,
true.
the other thing is they don't need anything from you. If you're if I'm at peace with myself, I'm not demanding something from you, which allows you to feel peaceful.
Yeah, like you're
Vice
not
versa.
looking for that person to make me happy, make me excited, make me, right?
Yeah. So I want to say something about all of this, because I love to give people a pathway. So sitting with discomfort, the problem with discomfort is we think we shouldn't have it. And so get over yourself. Growth is uncomfortable.
That's the big thing. It's not just because it's uncomfortable doesn't mean it's wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So I learned something. I want to share this, and Erin knows this story, but this is, I was at a yoga training with, it was Art of Assisting in Fort Worth, Texas. And Brandon Compagnoni was leading the training with Brooke Hamlet. And Brandon Compagnoni is this amazing teacher from Boston. And he's like rough around the edges and awesome. And this woman, I'll call her Karen. We were in training and we'd been there since 8 a.m. It was like 1 o'clock. And on the schedule, it said that lunch was going to be about noon. And all of us were hot. I mean, we're in a hot room practicing yoga, learning assist. We're sweaty. No one smells good, but we're all in it for something. We're there for something. This woman, well, like I said, we'll call her Karen. She puts up her hand and she goes, "Excuse me, Brandon. I think I speak for everyone when as soon as she said that, I was like, oh no, you don't speak for me. Oh my God. No. Oh no. And I could feel everyone all uncomfortable around. And she goes, I think I speak for everyone when I say, we're hungry. It's an hour and a half past when you said lunch was going to be. And I think that it's time to break now. And da. And Brandon just takes this like long, deep breath. And he just has this kind of swagger in his Boston accent. And he doesn't answer her right away. And then he goes, what? You never been fucking hungry before? Yous are in the trenches now. Yous are training. That's all he said. And I was like, my God, but that one comment changed my life, because I say this to myself in a Boston accent in my head. What, you never been uncomfortable before? You never been, you never been tired before? Like, I just say this stuff to myself. I'm like, I have been and I didn't die. Like, it's fine.
Yous are in the trenches.
Yeah, we're just in the trenches of creating new neural pathways, creating something new as familiar. And it's going to be uncomfortable, and you're going to be tired, and you're going to be cranky, and you're going to doubt yourself, and you're going to brace at times. And that's all part of it, because we're creating something new. It's not familiar. So you have to recognize the pattern, take ownership of the pattern that's from within you. It's protective, and go, yeah, of course, and no wonder. And if you want something new, you have to make the unfamiliar familiar through new actions. So you got to keep going, even when you think safety is boring. And even when you have to keep taking new actions until that's the new groove that you live in. And it's not an overnight fix. It's not like a weekend retreat and you're all better. It's like, I see the pattern and it took me 54 years to make this pattern. It's probably going to take me a few months to create a new pattern. So what's the new pattern you're creating, Erin?
What Brian said, being myself, whether that looks like having a moment of discomfort within the relationship about something, whatever, maybe something was said or something was revealed and I get a reaction. For me, it's about speaking what's true for me, no matter what, and seeing where the chips lie. It's like, I'm going to be myself no matter what. So that's my new action. And it doesn't mean I'm going to overwhelm someone with who I am, but it means I'm going to honor what matters most to me and be who I am as much as I can be. And it's a work in progress. Be who I am in all the areas of my life consistently.
So stop censoring yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I think that's the way that we're most inauthentic, is we censor ourselves.
Yeah. And I noticed where I was going to perform with other potential dates right away. I was like, oh, so what you said, Brian, really resonated. I was like, oh yeah, because I was like not going to be able to be myself with them.
Yeah, you became this person that was probably what you would chase in previous.
An old identity.
Yeah, this big excitement. I'm this sexual wow person, and this is boring. So that means there's a dud. Probably not a dud. Probably a really good candidate. And the thing, I think, then maybe we build the RAR instead of
what I'm
trying to build the bond.
What I'm finding is that when I'm feeling myself, and these little pockets of like amazing connection points are happening, and this is like how it can grow into something. So I'm finding that happening, and I'm very happy about it.
That initial chemistry, again, is like dopamine, and we think it's something. And then what happens in the brain for most people when we're talking about that kind of attraction, and the RAR that Brian referred to, and what attracted you to men like that you couldn't be yourself with in the past, is there's this elusive, like, I want to get what I can't have, or you're chasing that, and you're making yourself into all kinds of shapes, but you create the dopamine that feels good. And then your reticular activating system goes to work to be like, I'll show you more of what you want to see, why this person's sexy, why you feel good around this person, why you do that. And it literally blocks out all the red flags. And then you're in far enough into the relationship where you're like, well, I don't like the way they chew, but we do have a great sex life, or like, whatever.
And the sex life doesn't last.
Yeah. And so then, you're far enough in that you have an investment, and you might work that forward, but it's backwards. Actually, Brian and I had a conversation about this once, how like kind of it's backwards how a lot of people do relationships too. They get into it like hot and heavy in the sexual, and then they develop a bond over time. But if you develop the emotional bond first, then the sexual part can be created. It can be like learned to appreciate. But we're so dopamine driven as human beings that because it's the quick fix, we're in the instant gratification world. And when we realize that the real, that feeling that we're seeking in success in business, say, that feeling of real pride, it doesn't come when you have an overnight success. It comes when you've consistently done the work and brought forth your ideas and confronted yourself along the way a little bit, and when you're really proud of what you're putting out in the world. And in a relationship, it comes with going through a lot of experiences together and still liking yourself and each other, and trusting and building trust. And from that trust, you can build anything.
Yeah, I'm starting to see that.
Yeah. So yeah, go get uncomfortable, everybody. Go get uncomfortable.
Yeah. At least sit in it. Like, don't run. Just sit in it for a bit. That's my take. That's what I'm do. That knee-jerk reaction to go the other direction. Just wait. Just have a look. It's okay. You're not going to die. Just sit in it.
So the naming of parts, by the way, the naming of people. So we got Diane and Darlene and Dave over here, and we joke about it, but that's actually really valuable to how they call it, in internal family systems, they call it parts work, where it's like you can identify this part of yourself. It's not you, it's a protector. It's not a bad guy or something, but it's a protector. But you're like, I'm not under attack right now. I don't need protection. You could go sit in the back seat. And it helps us kind of separate from that piece when we can see it clearly. And it also is good to bring a little bit of humor to it, because otherwise it can be like, oh my God, I've been doing this to myself my whole life. What is wrong with me? You'd be like, you know what? That was Dave.
Right? It's what you did when you're young, or wherever it stemmed from. It's just that you're not bad. That was your nervous system needed a safety net somehow. So, but there's not as much in there either. It gets boring.
Yeah. Well, it gets, I think, I don't know if it gets boring. I think it gets exhausting for me. Like the loops I've been on, I'm just tired of them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm ready for something new, like a new to develop a new pattern, and then that in itself, even if it's safe and it feels like not so, it's the fact that we get to go into uncharted territory, somewhere I've never been, build something I've never built. That in itself feels very exciting to me.
Yes,
I agree with that.
We have equated that being boring, but it's not boring. It's almost liberating. It's peaceful. It's calm. It's like, well, okay, I don't need to jump out of the airplane. I'm you can be like,
enjoy the view from up here.
Things are good. And that was me growing up. I think I rodeoed. I jumped off horses onto the back of cows.
You were dopamine seeking really young in all that stuff.
The neighbors used to call my mom and say, "Oh Lord, you should see what Brian's doing." I was doing, and I was like, it was crazy. So.
Okay, so before we get off this call, I have to share this really funny story that I happen to know about our cowboy here and his dopamine seeking when I think he was like 6 years old. He told me that he got on his little mini bike, like motorized dirt bike, mini bike, and rode like 5 kilometers down the road by himself to see a little girl. And then he ran out of gas and her dad had to give him gas to get home.
It's a long ways. Yeah. Honda 50. It was, yeah. I was in grade 1, 2.
Adorable.
Yeah.
Dopamine. See, he's looking for that dopamine high at that age.
And it didn't work out, if everyone was wondering. It never worked out.
Did her dad call your mom?
No. I don't know. It's so crazy. I think I got away with that. I don't remember it. But yeah, it was way out in the country too. Yeah.
All right. So if you have a pattern in your life, my friends, I hope that our conversation has sparked something for you, and maybe you can look at it a little bit differently and invite yourself to do something that's a little out of your norm today. Sit with your discomfort and trust that you have the power to create something entirely new than your loop. It has nothing to do with what's outside of you. Bob Proctor always said, as within, so without. Whatever you're seeing in your external world is a reflection of how you see the world from inside, and that you always have the power to change. So if you like the show, share the show, please. Rate the show, give us a rating. If you want to come work with us, stay tuned. We've got some neat ideas for retreats coming up, and we've got all kinds of programs that you can work with us. Check in the show notes, and until next time.
Bye, everybody.
Yes.